Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. With this square picture frame on the floor, I'm going to demonstrate how us living on a level, stationary Earth can be converted to have us perceive and believe that we live on a spherical, spinning Earth, when in fact the reality is that the Earth is a level stationary plane and the things we see in the sky are going off into the distance at a consistent height above the level stationary Earth. And it is our perception that has been altered, and we have been deceived into believing or perceiving that things going off into the distance, such as the sun, the moon and the stars, are doing so because we are living on a spinning globe, when in fact the measurable, demonstrable reality, and definitely when it comes to physics as well, is that we are on a level plane and we see parallel lines between the surface and the sky, and that's Euclidean geometry, but it is converted into non-Euclidean geometry, and perspective is converted into an imaginary spherical Earth. So it's easy enough to physically measure the lengths of these sides. I haven't measured them, but it pretty much looks square to me, and because we are looking at it from directly above, we can see that it is square, and we have these angles in the corners which are 90 degrees each, so that of course gives the square a total number of angles inside it of 360 degrees, exactly the same as a circle. And of course we can also cut this square in two, and we can make triangles out of it, and each triangle will then have 180 degrees, just as a semicircle has 180 degrees. So keep this in mind as well when it comes to azimuthal map projections and other ways of describing how the dimensions and the shape of the Earth that we live upon, because it is only when you are directly above this frame that we can see that it is in fact square. In fact, it doesn't matter which angle we look at it from, we instinctively know that it is square. But of course, if you try to apply the same angles to the image that is presented to us when we change our point of view or our perspective, then that also changes. But again, we are dealing with the transformation of squares and the angles and the ratios into triangles and circles. They are all interchangeable. So what we have here is Euclidean geometry and the physical measurements we can make of this square with its side lengths and its interior angles. Now also keep in mind that if you take the left side of the frame and the right side of the frame, we have parallel lines, and those parallel lines will never ever physically meet. We could make this into a rectangle and those lines would never meet. So that is Euclidean geometry. It is to describe in mathematical terms our physical environment, no matter how we look at it. But of course what happens is when we start to change our point of view or our perspective, we get a change in the appearance. So now of course we have these parallel lines on the left and the right that do not any longer appear to be parallel. We know they are physically parallel, and we know that we are still looking at a square, but because we are looking at it from this perspective, it no longer appears to be a square. So if you just take these parallel lines here, I'll try and draw some on the screen when I come to edit this. What we have, of course, is the same effect that we get with train tracks. These are parallel lines in our tangible reality that appear to converge in the distance, in the way we look at this, in the way this whole scene is converted in our eyes or through the lens of the camera. Yeah? So nothing has changed except our perspective. And again, we can apply this to how we see the real world. These parallel lines on the side, you can put these anywhere you like, and of course we'll then get parallel lines that appear to converge by one line appearing to rise up and the other line appearing to come down. But at the moment, the way we're looking at this, we've got these lines on the left and the right appearing to converge in the distance if we follow those lines. So that is non-Euclidean geometry. And that is what has been used to deceive us into believing that we are living on a sphere. We know when we look across the Earth that we are looking across level land or sea. We are looking across something that does not bend. But the fact that it looks like this in our eyes has been used to convert that into having us believe and perceive that we live on a sphere by watching sunsets and luminaries go overhead and have us believe that they are not in fact keeping a consistent height above a level flat earth, but physically going down to the horizon, when they only appear to be going down to the horizon because of the way parallel lines appear to converge in our vision. Yeah, it is really as simple as that. So we have a square that we can now see is definitely a square because of this perspective. And then we go down and okay, it looks more like a rectangle now, but eventually if we followed those lines it would eventually become triangular. So then those 360 degrees of this square would now become only 180 degrees. Think about that. Nothing actually changed except our perception of what we are seeing. Thank you very much.
Click subscribe and the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications of new videos from Phuket Word.